Hey, welcome back. I am going to talk about an article I just found. It actually just came up this weekend um, about the Monsanto lawsuit and what does it mean, you know? So basically, what happened was a gentleman named Dwayne Johnson. He's only 46 years old and he's facing a terminal non-Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis, and he won a huge lawsuit against Monsanto. He basically used Roundup while he was doing his job as groundskeeper, and he ended up getting this cancer. So he sued Monsanto because they failed to warn him of the health hazards for exposure to this chemical. So who is Monsanto? Some people may know, some people may not, but basically what I found on Wikipedia is they are an agrochemical and agricultural biotechnology corporation. It was headquartered in Creve Coeur, by St. Louis, Missouri. Sorry if I mispronounce it for those of you who probably live there. Monsanto developed Roundup, a glyphosate-based herbicide in the 70s, and became a major producer of genetically engineered crops. So basically, they were one of 4 groups to introduce genes into plants in 1983 and was among the first to conduct field trials of genetically modified crops in 1987. It was one of the top 10 U.S. chemical companies until it divested most of its chemical business between 1997 and 2002 through a process of mergers and spin-offs that focused the company on biotechnology. So Monsanto started off as a chemical company back in like 1900s, acquired companies, sold companies, blah, blah, blah. And then in the 90s, they actually started doing or producing these seeds that they call them GMOs, genetically modified crops, or Frankenfood, you may have heard that term, where they take genes from plants, and they'll take genes maybe from like a fish or something else and put them together so that they, when the seeds grow and the crops grow, they are resistant to the chemicals sprayed on them, the herbicides and pesticides and things like that. So that's what they do. And I guess recently they were bought out by Bayer Company, which, you know, they do the Bayer aspirin, they do a lot of prescription drugs and things like that. So but Monsanto also, they were also a producer of the Agent Orange, which I'm sure you've heard of from those men that were in Vietnam, and they use Agent Orange to protect them from the bugs, from the mosquitoes, and the majority of those men end up with some sort of cancer. So they don't really have a great history. It's a chemical company, so it's kind of comes with the territory. So anyway, so that's Monsanto's history. So how did Dwayne win this case? I mean, for years, the Environmental Working Group, we've been trying to get them just to label their products that they're dangerous or that they have genetically modified foods in them, and that's been really difficult. But basically what they found was they found emails and things like that that stated that yes, these glycophosphates do cause cancer, we need to warn the public, blah, 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 and they ignored them, and they basically kind of did some ghostwriting, they call it, where still encouraging people like, oh, it's okay, just keep using them, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and I forgot to mention this article I found is actually from the foodrevolution.org, so if you want to check out that website, he has a lot of great information. But So they were basically responsible for negligent failure and declared that the company knew and should have produced these warnings, and they didn't. And of course they still say that their product is perfectly safe, even though there's tons of research that says it's not. So even though Dwayne is not going to be able to, benefit from this lawsuit because he doesn't have long to live, he's hoping that because of this, it will make changes for other people. So, and of course they keep saying that it's still safe and it's not. So, glyphosate is the main chemical in Roundup, and it was actually in 2015 that it was pinned as a carcinogen for humans, and people knew this and still, kept it under wraps. So they continue to deceive customers, farmers, regulators, lawmakers about the risks associated with glyphosate-based herbicides. They've suppressed the risks. They've trumpeted they've made money on, this chemical. Because basically what they do is they made these seeds. They donate these seeds to other countries, or really poor third world countries, that, to help them out, to produce more crops, because that's what it does. It yields more crops, which is great, but they're not good quality crops. So these farmers end up with these seeds, and they kind of get locked in, and they have to use these seeds. They can't go anywhere else. So they're stuck with these seeds. They have to plant these crops, and then they're the ones also being exposed to all of the chemicals that they spray on the crops. So there's a lot of farmers that are also dying of cancer. There's a lot of people dying of cancer, a lot of people with autoimmune diseases, a lot of reproductive problems, because glyphosate affects hormones, mainly hormones, and your hormones control everything in your body. So, not just what we think like the female-male reproductive hormones, but it regulates your immune system, like everything in your body. So if that's off, then your whole body is going to be off. Before the invention of the genetically engineered Roundup Ready seeds, which is what the farmers have to use, no one ever consumed weed killer, because no one ever sprayed these toxic chemicals on food crops, because that would have killed the crops if we sprayed them. But now with this new chemical, they don't die. So Roundup is being sprayed directly on food crops destined for human consumption. And cows and pigs, everybody eats it. So you're not just eating it directly, but you're eating it through, if you eat meat, you're eating it through the animal too. So so the vast majority of us are now eating weed killer on a daily basis. And the United States is using 1 million pounds of Roundup, actually 3 million pounds of Roundup today. So it's pretty significant. And mind you that European countries don't even use it. They banned it totally. So we're a little behind on the times here. So most of that is corn crops and soybeans. And corn and soybean are in like everything. Like if you look at the box, the cereal box, you'll find it. If you look in a candy bar, you'll find it. So it's like it's everywhere. If it's a processed food, it's in there. So they're saying 9.4 million tons of Roundup are used on fields growing our food. That's more than 2 pounds for every single human on the earth. 2 pounds. That's crazy. And then on August 15th, Environmental Working Group, that's a great website to go to. They do studies on all kinds of products out there, if they're safe, if they're not. They have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. If you're shopping and you have that little list, it really helps to know what you need to buy organic and what you don't need to buy organic. So you probably should buy organic for the most part. But so basically what the Environmental Working Group found was they took different types of cereal. They took 45 breakfast cereals, and tested them for glyphosate, which is that chemical that's in Roundup. And they found that 31 out of 45 have the glyphosate in it. So some of these included Cheerios, Quaker Oats, other breakfast foods, which all can, obviously increase the cancer risk in children and adults, anybody. So what do we have to do? We have to buy organic, unfortunately. So how do we avoid all this? So organically grown foods are by definition not genetically modified, and they're grown without the use of glyphosate. So you'll see that like organic foods, they spoil a little bit faster. They aren't perfect looking. Like I'll buy my organic lettuce and I'll be cleaning it up and chopping it up, and I'll find little bugs in it. But you know what? I know that it's organic if it has bugs on it. But little bugs aren't going to kill us. What does kill us is the glyphosate, obviously. So you don't need a perfect tomato, okay? And what kind of scares me is they have these genetically modified tomatoes now. And I actually got one somehow. I thought I bought organic. Maybe I picked up the wrong bag, but the tomato is actually seeding itself. Like I cut the tomato open and there were these little seeds that were germinating inside the tomato. It was the weirdest looking thing I've seen in my life. So, and that's because it's genetically modified. Like it's not normal, obviously. So it's just, I guess it's something that they made so that the tomato lasts longer, because they ship it from across the country sometimes to get to the grocery store. So that's their reasoning behind it. But so basically organic is so important. Major crops that are genetically modified. So we have corn. Much of corn is fed to the livestock, and it's used for ethanol in cars, and it's also used in a lot of foods, like refined foods. Soy is often used in animal feed again. Much of it is processed and eaten by people in the form of refined food. So, I mean, again, you find it in processed foods. Sugar beets, which supply about half the sugar in the U.S., and almost all of which are genetically modified. But sugar cane is not genetically modified. So when you're shopping for sugar, look for sugar cane. Canola oil, which is made out of corn. So, of course, that's genetically modified. Alfalfa is used primarily as animal feed. And cotton, which is used for clothing, as well as cottonseed oil. So those are the most of the genetically modified crops. So a lot of the corn and soy in particular are used in raw ingredients for all sorts of food additives. What do those include? It includes aspartame, citric acid, sodium citrate, ethanol, some natural flavorings, artificial flavorings, high fructose corn syrup, and hydrolyzed vegetable protein, lactic acid, maltodextrin, monosodium glutamate, which is in a lot of stuff. If your food tastes really good, if it's canned or frozen or whatever, usually they use monosodium glutamate to give it that flavor, to keep that flavor. Sucralose, textured vegetable protein, and xanthan gum. So two of them I really see are aspartame and sucralose, which are, that fake sugar that a lot of people need, especially if you're diabetic, just use stevia instead. That's a really good alternative. So if a product isn't certified organic or certified non-GMO, and if it has more than a few ingredients, there's a pretty good chance that it contains genetically modified food. There's some new GMO crops coming out. They include Hawaiian papayas, some Canadian farm salmon, zucchini, summer squash, apples, and potatoes. So those you really should buy organic if you can. So most but not all GMO crops have been engineered to withstand herbicides. Some also produce their own insecticides in every cell of the plant, while a few GMO crops have other traits. For example, genetically engineered salmon now grow much faster than normal salmon, thus saving farmers money, and of course it's going to cause other problems though, health-wise. So it's not just GMOs that you need to be concerned about. you know, glyphosate, which we talked about, the herbicides being sprayed on crops that are not genetically engineered in order to dry them out for harvest. So what are they doing? Well, they need to be able to dry these crops out so they can, you know, harvest them. So these include wheat, barley, oats, some legumes, sunflower seeds, and potatoes. So I'm wondering, like, is that what's causing all these crazy allergies people are having, or the, you know, the celiac and people that can't eat gluten? Is it because wheat's being sprayed with this glyphosate and our bodies are like, we can't handle this, so we're going to reject it? Also, peanut allergies. There's some crazy peanut allergies right now, especially at my kids' school. It's got to be this glyphosate, because how many kids did you know growing up had these severely crazy allergic reactions to peanuts, like, whereas they couldn't even be in the same room as a peanut? I mean, it's pretty serious. So maybe if they stopped spraying this stuff with the chemicals, we wouldn't have so many problems. So if the main thing is really try to buy organic when you can. It's so much safer. And then if we all start buying organic, then they're not going to be making money on this other food anymore, so they're not going to be selling it as much. You know what I mean? So we got to take action. So there's different ways you can help get rid of glyphosate. You can reach out to your local council, you know, write a letter, or to the government. Of course, use safer things for your lawn. There's a lot of organic options to keep your plants happy and your lawn happy. And if you do that, you probably have a lot more happy little worms too in your garden. You know, and also, like, pass the word along. You know, that's kind of what I'm doing, because I really want people to know about it so they can try to stay away from it. Because I just run into so many people that are so sick and there's no reason for it. That's not the way life needs to be. So, so if you can tell other people about this, that'd be fabulous. And if you need a list of, like, the foods that are talked about, like the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen, Environmental Working Group, on their website they have that information. And if you have any questions, or you know, you want to reach out to me, my website is wholesome-living@hotmail.com. So if you could just send me an email, and then I can write back to you with any information you need. But anyway, I hope this was a really helpful video. It's part of my vlog. I'll be doing this, you know, maybe once a week. Anything else that comes up that I find that is very helpful information that can help you with your health, I'll post it. So, so anyway, have a great day. Hope to talk to you again soon.